All right, hello everybody. Welcome back. Talking golf with the golf guy, Jeff Waters, with today's guest, Doug Vilven, a certified rules official with the PGA of America. Welcome to the show, Doug.
Hi, Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing good. All right, today rules. I got 20 questions for you. You ready? No particular order, no right or wrong. Just answer them right off the top of your head. You okay?
Do they have anything to do with the rules?
No, no.
Okay, good.
Yankees, Red Sox.
Red Sox.
Cake or pie for dessert?
Cake.
What kind?
German chocolate.
Who's the best player you ever saw play?
Probably Ben Hogan.
You saw Ben Hogan play? Tiger or Jack, best player?
Jack.
Favorite meal, breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
Dinner.
Light bulb moment. The moment when you realized golf was what you were meant to do.
I caddied for Bob Golby in the last tour event, and I thought at one time I might want to try and play golf for a living, but that convinced me that, besides I wasn't a very good putter, that convinced me that I didn't want to be on the tour for a living. It didn't look like that good a life to me. That was, of course, a lot of years ago, but that was kind of a light bulb moment when I decided I wanted to get into this part of the business.
Interesting. How did you learn to get better? Who helped you? Who was your mentor? The guy that shaped you and got you started?
T. Branca and Jimmy Thompson.
Not bad. Best golf course you ever played?
Seminole was a good one, but the best I've ever played and Pine Valley was a good one, but the best golf course I've ever played in the West is Yellowstone Country Club in Billings, Montana.
It's a good golf course.
Yes.
Really good golf course. Yeah. First golf course you ever played?
Sand Greens in Wamego, Kansas.
That's right. I forgot you grew up in Kansas. Yeah. He's an Iowa boy.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, I give him a lot of crap about that too.
You got to be from somewhere.
Well, his family are pig farmers. He raised corn and pig, and he left that to move out here. It was incredible. All right, bucket list. One golf course you'd like to play, and why?
I would like to play. Of course, I'd like to play Augusta. You've played it. I have never played it.
Yeah, it's pretty special.
Yeah.
The one that's on my list is Olympic, but my daughter worked for Pebble for a long time as a marketing director for Pebble Beach. She lived right on 17 Mile Drive, and when I'd go down to visit her, I'd play all those golf courses, and I met the pro at Olympic, and I said, I've always wanted to play. He said, just call me. He says, we let two PGA pros play every Monday, but we're booked for a month or two. Just call me and we'll put you in.
Are you talking Olympic or Cyprus?
Cyprus, pardon me. Cyprus,
I played Cyprus.
Yeah, have you played Cyprus?
Yeah, that was the experience, yeah.
You have to walk, don't you?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay, that's it, Cyprus. Okay, why are the rules important?
Every game's got to have rules, or you don't have a game.
If you get rid of one rule, which one would it be?
Oh, I think, let's come back to that one. I want to make sure that one's right.
Okay. Your biggest thrill or moment in golf?
Probably probably winning the state high school tournament was when I was a
You
senior.
had help though, didn't you?
Probably. We only had 4 guys to beat back in those days. Being a Class A member of the PGA was a big thrill, and getting selected to the adjunct faculties been a lot of fun. And of course, having a good family is nice, and we just had our first grandchild, so that's always a lot of different thrills, a lot of different ways.
How would you simplify the rules?
Just like the one I mentioned why should an embedded ball be different than a live ball altered, and why should water hazard rule, why not make unplayable live water hazards and all the same 3 options rather than one of them's 2 options, one of them's 3, and one of them's 4 penalty options, and things like that. I don't think they haven't thought them out well, or they were made at different times and they haven't kind of melded them together. There's no sense in having all those different rules with it.
And we talked about this earlier, and maybe to the same point, bifurcation, yes or no?
Yeah, I think it's been going on for years and years. Even
Yeah, but should you codify it? Should you make it a rule, really?
no, there's enough bifurcation without.
All right, dream foursome, pick four.
4 people I'd like to play golf with, dead or alive, or does it matter?
Doesn't matter. I don't think Jesus plays golf, though.
No. I'd like to have played a round of golf with Byron Nelson for one.
Yeah.
I'd like to have played a round of golf with Arnold Palmer, and I'd probably like to play a round of golf with one of these young guys that's coming up. Maybe Spieth. I'd like to play a round of golf.
He's pretty special.
Yeah.
I've seen him in some situations where he could have been a jerk and wasn't.
Right.
I mean, you come to that fork of the road and you can be one or the other, and every time I've seen him in that position, he's been the good guy.
Good. That's
which is
good.
interesting.
I haven't ever been around him that much, but
That's interesting.
I
I mean, when he had every right in the world to be a jerk and he wasn't.
right.
Which
Good.
is,
Good to
and they
hear.
say that. For example, Guy Yoakum just did a thing on I like Guy. He does those things in Golf Digest, My Way or whatever it's called. It's called, what is it called? You know, he does it anyway. Anyway, Jordan Spieth, when he won the Open Championship, had 6 guys waiting for him. His friends waited around to congratulate him. Now think about it. Tiger, you know, I mean,
Right.
it's not that, so yeah, he's a good guy. All right. Other than rules, how would you change or impact the game to make it better?
I'd like to. I would love it if we went back to the old system where the golf professionals owned the shop. I think it would solve about 9 out of 10 of our growth of the game problems and all this. I would like to go back to where we built golf courses to play golf on rather than building golf courses to build houses on. And I think there's some simple solutions, and I've tried to work with some people that took away the golf shops from all the golf professionals, particularly in our city and county situation, and I would have to say I think they're very ill-advised. It would be just simple to turn everything back to the golf professional, and then everybody's vested and cut the superintendents in on the action, and then you got everybody pushing the wagon the same way.
What's not to like about 360-yard par fours?
That's right.
All right, as to the same argument, your advice to future generations, especially millennials. You know, millennials. I read something interesting in the New York Times the other day. Is that we're trying to identify our values, our morals, our concepts on the millennials, but they don't care. They march to a different drummer, and we're going to be dead, and they're going to run the world. So your advice to them, and I guess to clarify that point, I mean, as golf professionals, we're kind of rigid sometimes. We say, well, you got to dress a certain way, you got to act a different way. Millennials don't obey those same rules. They just want to listen to their music and take their pictures and smoke their dope and go have fun.
Well, I'm not sure that's not an overgeneralization, but I'm just actually reading a book on that right now. And as baby boomers, we took parents out of our lives to a certain extent. We still love our parents and all that, but we pretty much said, we're going to do our own thing. Millennials are exactly the opposite. They've really embraced their parents and get a lot of advice from their parents, and their parents watch their games and all those kind of things. It's just a different group, but for some reason or other, millennials have closer values to the baby boomers than the Gen X guys do. They're starting to play golf again. They enjoy the game. Might be on their rules a little bit, and instead of what we thought about, but you think about all the different influences on our lives, and when you and I grew up, we had 3 television stations to watch, so we all got the same news and the same spin and the same thing. Well, those millennials have 1,100 stations to watch and 500 different ideas, so they don't get the same spin on things. So I try to, I hope I identify with the young kids, but I try and ask the question of, why do you do it this way rather than be critical and say, what the hell are you doing it this way for? because sometimes they have a pretty good reason for doing it their way instead of our way. So anyway.
Yeah. In the end, what has golf meant to you?
Oh, gosh, it's where a lot of my friends are. It's where my passion is. It's, and I've able to, never was a good enough player to have it mean a lot as a player, but it's been a whole livelihood to me and a whole system, and I'm 70 years old and still enjoy doing things with the rules seminars and working rules, and I don't know what else. People say be careful what you learn how to do. I'm glad I learned how to do this.
So I guess that leads us to this question. What is your legacy? What would you like to be remembered for? I mean, you've done a lot in the game. You've done a lot of things, been a lot of places.
Yeah. I just hope people think I was involved for the right reasons. That's all. That's, I mean, what we do, somebody will replace me or you or Dave or whoever. Somebody's going to replace all of us, and somebody will pick up for the little things I did. I don't think that's as important as just making sure people think you're honest and doing things for the right reason, I guess. And hopefully I can introduce people to this game, involved with PGA education, and my hope is that I influence, if there's 50 people in the class, I hope I influence 6 of them to be better golf professionals and make more money and have their lives better, and I guess that's what I'd hope my legacy would be.
Not a bad legacy at that.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be.
All right, anything else, or do you want to go back to that rules thing?
Yeah, the rules I would change. I like the out of bounds thing. I like that was a hard one to change. I think it's kind of penal. There's
You mean stroke and distance?
yeah, the stroke and distance, because you can take that at any time. But I'm a little concerned with a couple of the new rules changes. Let me talk about those for a minute, because
Okay.
you can edit this anyway. But I think they're getting. I don't like the idea that they're going to allow somebody to pick their golf ball up and look at it if they think it's unfit for play without scrutiny from a fellow competitor and opponent. I think that's going to. I know the game's built on integrity, but not everybody has it, and I think that's going to come back and bite them at a point. And I think they've gotten a little liberal with touching your line of putt, and I think it's going to slow the game down. And with the new penalty areas that they're coming up with, I hope that they introduce an unplayable lie in the penalty areas. They don't care back east because they're in weeds 10 feet high, but out here where we have sagebrush, you're going to go look for the ball, and if it's a penalty area, you're going to go up, and if you find the ball in one of the sagebrush, now you got to come back 150 yards to take your drop. And I think it's going to have a counter effect of speeding up the game, which I think we need to do, is speed up the game.
Absolutely. All right, Doug Vilven, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Let's go have lunch.